The business of beauty can be very ugly.
One celebrity's heart literally stopped for a full minute on the operating table. Another injected cooking oil into her face when she couldn't afford more surgery. And the woman at number 1 spent $6 million to look like a cat, only to die broke and still claiming she never had any work done. These aren't just bad plastic surgery stories. These are medical nightmares that destroyed careers, bankrupted fortunes, and in some cases nearly cost these women their lives. What you're about to see goes way beyond typical celebrity surgery fails. We've uncovered the shocking medical records, secret documents, and hidden details that reveal the true horror behind Hollywood's most catastrophic transformations. From industrial car lubricant injected into faces to surgeons who were literally criminals in disguise, these 10 cases will make you question everything you thought you knew about celebrity plastic surgery. And trust me, you need to stick around for number 1 because what happened to her is so unbelievable, so tragic, and so twisted that it reads like a horror movie script. Let's start with Jennifer Grey, the actress who became famous as Baby in Dirty Dancing. Now, Jennifer's case might seem mild compared to what's coming, but it perfectly shows how even one simple procedure can completely derail a career. In the early 90s, Jennifer decided to get a nose job to remove what she called the bump on her nose. It wasn't a dramatic change, just smoothing out that distinctive feature that made her so recognizable. But here's what makes this tragic. That nose was literally her trademark. It was as iconic as Julia Roberts' smile or Cindy Crawford's mole. When Jennifer showed up to auditions after the surgery, casting directors didn't even recognize her. She looked beautiful, sure, but she didn't look like Jennifer Grey anymore. The surgery was technically perfect, but it cost her everything that made her unique in Hollywood. Jennifer herself admitted years later that the nose job made her virtually anonymous in an industry where being memorable is everything. She went from being one of the most recognizable faces of the 80s to struggling to get any roles at all. It took her 20 years to finally win Dancing with the Stars, but by then most people had forgotten who she was. One small change to her nose literally erased her identity and ended what should have been a thriving career. Coming in at number 9 is Courteney Cox, and her transformation is heartbreaking when you see the before and after photos. We all remember Monica from Friends.
You are my midnight mystery kisser!
That natural, beautiful woman with the infectious smile. But somewhere along the way, Courteney got caught up in the Hollywood pressure to stay young forever, and the results were devastating. Courteney went overboard with facial fillers, especially around her cheeks and lips. The work was so obvious and overdone that fans started commenting on how different she looked. Her face became puffy and unnatural, losing all the warmth and expressiveness that made Monica such a beloved character. The worst part was watching her try to act with a face that could barely move from all the procedures. What makes Courteney's story different is that she eventually realized what she'd done to herself. In interviews, she opened up about chasing youth through cosmetic procedures and how she regretted the choices she made. She actually had all her fillers dissolved in 2017, admitting that she didn't look like herself anymore and wanted to return to a more natural appearance. But here's the sad reality. Even after having the fillers removed, the damage wasn't completely reversible. Years of procedures had stretched and altered her facial structure in ways that couldn't be completely undone. Courteney now speaks out about the pressure women face to alter their appearance, but her face still bears the marks of those decisions she wishes she could take back. At number 8, we have Katie Price, the British model who became famous as Jordan. Katie's transformation over the past 25 years is absolutely shocking when you see the progression photos. She's had everything you can imagine: multiple breast augmentations, facelifts, Brazilian butt lifts, nose jobs, and countless injections and fillers. What makes Katie's case particularly disturbing is how she's described her addiction to plastic surgery. She's literally compared choosing her next procedure to going shopping, saying it's become that casual for her. Katie has admitted to spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on surgeries, and the results speak for themselves. She's almost completely unrecognizable from the natural beauty she was in the 90s. But Katie's story gets even more tragic when you consider the impact on her family. She's revealed that her children have been put off surgery for life after witnessing her recovery process. They've seen their mother in pain, bandaged up, and going through the brutal healing process over and over again. Her daughter has even spoken about how the discrimination Katie faces because of her appearance has affected the whole family. Recently, Katie has started warning young women about the dangers of plastic surgery, especially girls in their early 20s who are getting procedures done. She's admitted that all the anesthetics she's had over the years have been damaging to her body, and she knows she's gone too far. But despite these warnings to others, Katie continues to get work done, showing just how addictive and destructive the cycle of cosmetic surgery can become. Number 7 takes us to Joan Van Ark, the soap opera legend from Dallas and Knots Landing. Joan's transformation is one of the most dramatic in television history, and when photos of her surfaced at a Hollywood charity event, people literally couldn't believe it was the same person. Joan had been a beautiful, elegant actress known for her sophisticated looks and natural grace. But over the years, she underwent multiple procedures, including Botox, laser treatments, facelifts, brow lifts, cheek implants, and dermal fillers. The cumulative effect was absolutely shocking. She looked like she was wearing a mask. What makes Joan's case particularly sad is how it affected her ability to work. When she appeared on the TV show Nip/Tuck, it reportedly took 4 hours just to set up the lighting to her satisfaction. She was so self-conscious about her appearance that she would only consume water with honey and 1 banana during entire filming days, suggesting the psychological toll her transformation had taken. Medical experts who analyzed Joan's photos pointed out signs of over-pulling from multiple facelifts, facial asymmetry, and the telltale marks of countless surgical interventions. Her former co-stars later revealed that makeup artists on Knots Landing would routinely help conceal bruises from the cast members' cosmetic procedures, showing just how normalized surgical touch-ups had become in Hollywood. Joan's face became so altered that fans of her classic shows struggled to reconcile the elegant actress they remembered with the person she became. It's a perfect example of how the pursuit of youth can actually rob someone of everything that made them beautiful in the first place. At number 6 is Melanie Griffith, and her story is particularly heartbreaking because of her brutal honesty about the psychological impact of her surgical disasters. Melanie was absolutely gorgeous in her prime. Remember her in Working Girl or Born in East LA? She had this natural, sexy confidence that made her perfect for those roles. But in her 50s, Melanie started getting work done, and the results were catastrophic. She had multiple procedures, including breast augmentation, nose jobs, facelifts, Botox, filler injections, liposuction, eyelid surgery, and lip injections. The transformation was so dramatic that people started talking about her appearance more than her acting. What makes Melanie's case so tragic is her own words about what happened. She said she didn't realize how bad it was until people started saying, "Oh my God, what has she done?" She was so hurt by the public reaction that she admitted feeling lost and trapped by her appearance. Even more devastating, she believes her surgical addiction contributed to the end of her 19-year marriage to Antonio Banderas. Melanie went to one doctor who put in fillers and injections, then had to find another doctor to dissolve what she called all of this when the results were disastrous. She spent years and enormous amounts of money trying to undo the damage from surgeries she regretted. At 66, Melanie says she hopes she looks more normal now, after having many procedures reversed, but she's spent the last decade trying to get back to looking like herself. The most heartbreaking part of Melanie's story is how she lost her sense of identity. She went from being a confident, beautiful actress to feeling like she didn't recognize herself in the mirror. That's the real cost of these surgical disasters. It's not just about looking different, it's about losing who you are. Number 5 brings us to Tara Reid, and her story reveals the devastating career impact that surgical failures can have. Tara was the it girl of the late 90s and early 2000s, starring in American Pie and The Big Lebowski. She was young, beautiful, and had her whole career ahead of her. But then Tara made what she calls the biggest mistake of her life. She underwent breast augmentation and liposuction that were botched so badly they left her permanently deformed. The liposuction didn't just leave her with a ripply, bulgy stomach. It actually caused a hernia that created a huge bump next to her belly button. This wasn't just cosmetic damage. It was a serious medical condition. The breast augmentation was even worse. The results were so bad that when Tara had a wardrobe malfunction at P. Diddy's birthday party in 2004, photographers captured images that circulated globally. Internet critics labeled her as having the ugliest boob in the world, and the psychological impact was devastating. Even men she dated told her something was wrong and that she needed to fix it. But here's where Tara's story gets really tragic. The industry completely turned on her. She lost multiple film roles because she couldn't wear bikinis or revealing clothing that were required for the parts. The actress who was once Hollywood's golden girl found herself relegated to B-movies and reality TV shows. She literally lost work because of her surgical complications. Tara underwent corrective surgery in 2006, including a specialized procedure called a donut mastopexy and additional liposuction. She also spent over a year in therapy to rebuild her confidence. The total cost of correcting the botched procedures exceeded $100,000, money she had to pay herself after her original surgeon refused to take responsibility. Years later, Tara still deals with the physical and emotional scars from those procedures that destroyed her career at its peak. At number 4 is Priscilla Presley, and her story involves actual criminal activity that left her permanently disfigured. Priscilla, the former wife of Elvis Presley, had always been beautiful, but like many aging celebrities, she wanted to maintain her youthful appearance as she got older. In 2003, Priscilla went to someone she thought was a licensed plastic surgeon for what should have been a routine procedure, but here's the shocking truth. Daniel Serrano wasn't actually qualified to be a plastic surgeon. He was only licensed to work as a nurse, but he was performing surgical procedures and injecting patients with substances that weren't meant for human faces. What Serrano injected into Priscilla's cheeks wasn't medical-grade silicone. It was industrial-grade silicone used to lubricate car parts. Yes, you heard that right. The same substance used in automotive maintenance was being injected into the face of Elvis Presley's widow. This wasn't cosmetic surgery. This was essentially assault with a dangerous substance. The results were horrific. Priscilla's face became puffy and distorted, with hard lumps under her skin that were impossible to remove. The industrial silicone migrated and solidified, leaving her permanently damaged. Despite multiple corrective surgeries over the years, her face has never fully recovered from the damage caused by those toxic injections. The story gets even more disturbing when you learn that Serrano was eventually imprisoned for his fraudulent practices. Multiple patients came forward with similar horror stories: lumps, hard rocks in their faces, holes, and permanent disfigurement. But by then, the damage to Priscilla and countless others was already done. Her case led to stricter regulations about who can perform cosmetic procedures, but it was too late for her and the other victims who trusted this criminal with their faces. Coming in at number 3 is Linda Evangelista, and her story represents one of the most expensive cosmetic surgery lawsuits in history. Linda was one of the biggest supermodels of the 90s.
Well, don't say I won't get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day. Don't say that. You will regret it.
She was the one who famously said she didn't get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day. She was absolutely stunning, and at the peak of her career when disaster struck. Between 2015 and 2016, Linda underwent 7 cool sculpting sessions targeting her chin, thighs, and bra area. Cool sculpting was supposed to be a non-invasive way to reduce fat by freezing it. It sounded perfect. No surgery, minimal downtime, and results that would help maintain her supermodel figure as she aged. But instead of fat reduction, Linda developed something called paradoxical adipose hyperplasia. This is an extremely rare condition where fat cells actually multiply and harden instead of shrinking. We're talking about a condition that only affects between 0.025% and 0.39% of cool sculpting patients. Linda was essentially a medical anomaly in the worst possible way. The hardened fat masses became so severe that Linda couldn't put her arms flat against her sides. She had to wear a girdle constantly to prevent chafing that would cause bleeding. The woman who was once one of the most photographed faces in the world became a recluse, admitting, "I don't look in the mirror. It doesn't look like me." When Linda's doctor contacted Cool Sculpting about her condition, here's what's really disturbing. The company offered to pay for corrective surgery, but only if she signed a confidentiality agreement to keep quiet about what happened. Linda refused to be silenced. After 2 full-body liposuction procedures failed to fix the problem, she spent years hiding from the world, devastated by what had happened to her body. Linda finally sued for $50 million. And the case settled in 2022 for an undisclosed amount that industry insiders believe was close to her full demand. But no amount of money could give her back her career or her confidence. This case exposed how cosmetic companies handle adverse effects behind closed doors, trying to silence victims rather than taking responsibility for the damage they cause. At number 2 is Heidi Montag, and what happened to her is absolutely insane. Heidi was a reality TV star on the Hills, and at just 23 years old, she made one of the most reckless decisions in plastic surgery history. She underwent 10 different procedures in a single day. Let me repeat that. 10 procedures in one day. The list of what Heidi had done is mind-blowing. A mini brow lift, Botox in her forehead, a revision nose job, fat injections in her cheeks, chin reduction, neck liposuction, ear pinning, breast implant revision, liposuction on her waist, hips and inner thighs, and buttock augmentation. Her surgeon, Dr. Frank Ryan, operated on her for over 10 hours straight. But here's the part that was never reported at the time. Heidi literally died during recovery. Her heart stopped beating for a full minute, and security guards had to call emergency medical staff to revive her. This wasn't from the surgery itself. It was from a Demerol overdose that was administered during her recovery. The woman who wanted to look like a Barbie doll almost became a corpse. Medical experts called what happened to Heidi medical malpractice disguised as cosmetic surgery. The patient-surgeon relationship was compared to a child-parent relationship, with Heidi being taken advantage of by someone who should have protected her. Where was the doctor's responsibility to say no? Where was the intervention when a 23-year-old wanted to undergo 10 procedures in one day? The heartbreaking part of Heidi's story is why she did it. She revealed that she was getting corrective surgery while being bullied online. She said she was under pressure because it was the beginning of comment sections and internet hate, and she couldn't handle the negativity. She was trying to fix perceived flaws while people were attacking her appearance online. A vicious cycle that almost killed her. Dr. Frank Ryan, the surgeon who performed Heidi's procedures, died in a car crash in 2010. Before his death, he expressed shock at Heidi's public criticism, claiming he expected her to get positive publicity from the procedures. The man who nearly killed a young woman with unnecessary surgery was more concerned about publicity than patient safety. Heidi later said the surgeries were the biggest mistake of her life. She told Life and Style Weekly, "People have fewer scars from car accidents than I have on my body." Years later, she still deals with the physical and emotional consequences of that one terrible day when she let vanity and internet bullying drive her to nearly die on an operating table. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Number 1 is Jocelyn Wildenstein, and her story is so twisted, so tragic, and so unbelievable that it reads like a horror novel. Jocelyn became known as the Catwoman or the Lion Lady of New York because of her feline-like appearance. But the truth behind her transformation is far more disturbing than anyone realized. Here's what most people think they know. Jocelyn spent millions on plastic surgery to look like a cat because her art dealer husband loved big cats. But that's not the real story. Court documents from her 1999 divorce reveal that Jocelyn's transformation began as a calculated business strategy. She initially underwent surgery not for vanity, but because her husband Alec hates to be with old people. Think about that for a second. She mutilated her face because her husband couldn't stand the idea of being married to someone who looked her age. But it gets even more twisted. The divorce judge specifically ordered that Jocelyn was forbidden from using any of her $2.5 billion settlement, one of the largest in history, on additional cosmetic surgeries. Despite receiving this massive fortune, Jocelyn filed for bankruptcy in 2018. The woman who once spent $1 million per month was claiming to be broke. Here's where the story becomes truly horrifying. In 2003, Jocelyn was injected with industrial-grade silicone, the same type used to lubricate car parts, by an unlicensed practitioner. This wasn't cosmetic enhancement, it was medical assault that left permanent damage no amount of corrective surgery could fix. The substances injected into her face were literally automotive lubricants. Medical experts analyzing Jocelyn's transformation believe she underwent a brow lift, multiple facelifts, lip injections, chin augmentation, fat grafting, cheek implants, upper and lower eyelid surgery, and canthopexy, a procedure that elevates the eyes to give them a cat-like appearance. The cumulative effect was so extreme that she became unrecognizable as human. But here's the most twisted part of all. Until the day she died on December 31st, 2024, at age 84, Jocelyn insisted she had never had plastic surgery. She claimed her cat-like features came from her Swiss heritage. The woman who spent an estimated $6 million transforming her face into something that looked like a science fiction creature maintained until her death. Jocelyn's story represents the absolute extreme of surgical addiction and delusion. She destroyed her natural beauty, spent her massive fortune, became a global laughingstock, and ended up broke and alone. She was injected with car parts, forbidden by a judge from getting more surgery, and still denied that any of it ever happened. When someone can spend $6 million to look like a cat and still claim they're all natural, you're dealing with a level of delusion that's honestly terrifying. The saddest part is that Jocelyn was actually beautiful before any of this started. She was a stunning woman who could have aged gracefully and naturally. Instead, she became a cautionary tale about what happens when vanity, toxic relationships, and medical malpractice combine in the worst possible way. These 10 women represent the absolute worst-case scenarios of what can happen when the pursuit of beauty goes horribly wrong. From industrial chemicals injected into faces, to hearts stopping on operating tables, from cruel surgeons to $6 million cat transformations. These stories show us that sometimes the price of trying to be perfect is losing everything that made you beautiful in the first place. Hit subscribe if you want more shocking celebrity secrets that will blow your mind.